Hello! In this video we're going to have a look at how to add, edit and delete activity types. So activity types are anything that can be added via this Add Activities module here. So that's often services, referrals, resources and potentially groups. I'm just going to show you the example using services because this is something that most of your sites will have available. So on your home screen here, you can see when you click the button to see the drop-down menu, you have a whole list of services that you can add in your Add Activities module. To edit these, you can go to Database Administration. Please remember that only site administrators will have access to this section of the database and will be able to make these changes. So I click here on Database Administration, and then I'm going to find Service Types here. And this will take me to a complete list of all of the service types that exist in my database. And you can also see what they've been set to convert to for different funder reports that you have enabled. At the top, you will see the active services. And if you scroll down, you'll see that we also have some inactive services. Okay, so first of all, how do we add a new service type? Just in the top right corner here, we click on this button that says Add New Service Type. We need to type in the name. What I'm going to add here is Transportation Advocacy. This is not an available service at the moment. I need to add an abbreviated name to be used in certain parts of the database where it needs to be a bit shorter. So that's often in the calendar view. Who I would like this service to be visible for. So it might be that this is only applicable to a certain program. So I could say that perhaps I'd only like the staff from my shelter program to be able to see this service because only the shelter program can provide this particular type of advocacy. You can also set this to be, you can create user groups, you can provide access to services dependent on someone's permission level, or you can actually limit to individual users. So you've got quite a lot of flexibility there. And then here, you have the option to set what you would like this service to convert to for each of your funder reports. I'm just going to show you an example for the VOCA report. So perhaps I'd like transportation advocacy to appear as transportation assistance on the VOCA report. So every time someone records a transportation advocacy service, this is going to count as one unit of service, and the time spent doing that is going to count towards the time spent on transportation assistance. Okay, and I could go through and set this for all of my reports, but perhaps I don't want this service to count, for example, for OVW Rural. In that case, I would just leave it blank. This service is active. That means I'm going to see it in the drop-down menu when adding a new service. That's great. So we'll just add this here. And we'll see that transportation advocacy now appears in this list. And if I go to my home page, I will see transportation advocacy in the list of available services. Here it is. Okay. So perhaps I'd like to edit a service type. That is very simple. Let's say we're going to select counselling here, and I'd like to rename this individual counselling as opposed to group counselling. So now this is named individual counselling. I'm going to change the abbreviated name as well so that it's clear that it's individual counselling. I'll just scroll down and check that my conversions are set correctly. Excellent, so that is set to convert as individual counselling. I could change these if needs be, and then I can click Save Changes here. And you'll see that that has been updated, so now we're going to find this service, individual counselling. So any service that has been recorded in the database as counselling previously will now say individual counselling because I've changed the name of that service itself. Okay, perhaps I'd like to delete a service. If I click on here, medical advocacy, we're not providing that service anymore, so perhaps I think I'd like to delete it. Oh, hang on. It says here that I can't delete this service type because there are existing records that have been added with this service type selected. So if I were to delete it, they would lose that information and would just be there as kind of random services and no one knows what they were. So that's also not accurate. If this is a service that you used to provide and you now don't, you still want to keep those historical records. So in that case, what would be better would be to set this as inactive. So I'll save changes here, and what that means is I can see medical advocacy here that still exists as a historical service in the database. But if I go to the home page and I look at my service list, it's not going to appear here anymore. So no one's going to be able to add that service now that we no longer provide it. So in certain situations, yes, you would like to be able to delete a service type. So perhaps I added a new service type in error. This transportation advocacy service, maybe I actually want to record that as a resource. So I'm going to delete this. I can just scroll down to the bottom and it will let me delete this service type because there are no existing records for that service type in the database at the moment. So there we go, very simple. That's how to add, edit and delete activity types. So I know I've referred to services many times here, but that was just the example. Everything functions in a really similar way for the other activity types like referrals, resources and groups.